What's up guys, my name is Ace, and about a week ago I did a video talking about my top 10 underrated common and rare variants in Infinite Warfare, and some people were asking me to do the reverse of that, so that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be covering my top 5 overrated epics in Infinite Warfare. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so starting this off, I just want to be very clear that first off, this is my opinion based on my personal preferences, so hey, if you disagree with me, that's totally fine, but I am going to be backing up everything with a lot of really good reasons, at least in my view. Also, I'm by no means saying these guns are completely useless guns or they're really bad guns, I just feel they are absolutely not worthy of the epic title. So first off, this is actually one of my least favorite epics, it's the NV4 Chaos. I know there's a lot of people out there that really like this, but hear me out on why I don't like this. The NV4 Chaos gives you a slower rate of fire when you're aiming down sight, in exchange for a faster than normal rate of fire when you're hip firing. In addition to that, it gives you the steady weapon perk, which reduces your hip fire spread. So why do I think this is an overrated epic? It's pretty simple. The NV4 is designed to excel at the medium to long ranges. It's not completely useless up close, but of course it is completely outclassed by a bunch of the other assault rifles, as well as every one of the SMGs and shotguns when you're getting into those closer ranges. So naturally, the NV4 is designed to be used at the mid to longer ranges. You want to try and keep your distance a little bit from your enemies. With the Chaos, you're reducing its strength at those medium to long ranges, because when you aim down sight, you actually reduce your rate of fire without any other benefit while you're aiming down sight. So therefore, the base NV4 has a better time to kill while aiming down sight. And you're doing that in exchange for making it just a little bit less bad when you're up close. It's not making it suddenly excel up close where it's going to be beating SMGs and the other assault rifles really consistently. It just makes it slightly less bad up close, while making it noticeably worse where you're actually going to be using it most of the time. This is why I'll choose a base NV4 over the NV4 Chaos any day. Moving on to the next one, we're staying in the assault rifle category, we have the Type 2 Butcher. Now this gun, unlike the Chaos, I would say it's still better than the base Type 2, but there's just not much benefit from this, at least not enough in my mind to call this an epic weapon. The reason behind this is the shotguns, when you split the Butcher in half, you get shotguns instead of SMGs. They're really not that much more powerful than the SMGs would be when you're in the akimbo mode. Most of the time, if you're getting a kill with the akimbo shotguns, you probably would have gotten that kill anyways with the akimbo SMGs. And in addition to that, the second weapon perk for the Butcher is a relatively useless weapon perk in my opinion. That's Readiness. Readiness only works when you completely run your gun out of ammo. And I don't know about you, but I almost never completely run my gun to 0. Maybe for some people, if your playstyle somehow suits that, maybe that works a little bit better for you, but for me at least, I'm not going to be spending 4,000 salvage on this anytime soon. Moving on to the next one, we have the Raw Liberty. For this one, it gives you Make It Rain, which doubles your magazine size, but you can no longer reload, and it gives you Haste, which gives you a slightly increased movement speed over the base LMG movement speed. Again, I would say this is better than the base Raw, but it's not 4,000 salvage better than the base Raw. And I also feel there are at least a couple other variants of the Raw that are superior to the Liberty. Basically, the issues I have with this one is, first off, you can't reload. Like, great, you get a big magazine capacity or massive magazine capacity, but most of the time with LMGs, you usually aren't going to get yourself in a situation where the reload screws you over because, first off, you tend to hang back a little bit, and second, you've already got such a large magazine that you can usually plan your reloads out very, very easily. And then with Haste, all it takes is using Man-at-Arms, and you completely nullify Haste's effects. So again, it's one of those guns where it's okay, but I wouldn't say it is worthy of that epic title. Getting into my least favorite variant of the EMC pistol, we have the Avalanche. This is one of those guns where it's probably going to come down to personal preference a little bit, and playstyle preference, as well as how good your trigger finger is. I, for one, have a pretty solid trigger finger, and I really like to show it when I'm using the EMC. With the Avalanche, it gives you Lucky 7, which unloads half of your magazine in one burst every time you pull that trigger. Now, it's pretty cool, and it's got a high damage output, and sure, it can get you some kills really quickly right up close, but overall, it is quite difficult to control, and if you pull that trigger at the wrong time, or if your enemy jumps out of the way or something like that, it's really hard to keep on target while this burst is actually happening. Instead, I would rather have a much more controlled option of using the EMC in its default semi-auto mode. So again, this is another one of those epic variants where I would rather use the base gun than the epic variant. So finally, moving on to number 5, we're getting into the Mission Team Depot. This is the Widowmaker Smoke. Now at first glance, this gun looks incredible. This looks like an awesome variant of the Widowmaker, and to be fair, it is pretty solid. It's not the best though, in my opinion. This one gives you SPD, which basically gives you an included suppressor, and it says it gives you normal damage range. Sounds pretty awesome on paper, and it also gives you readiness. I've kind of explained that a little bit before. I rarely run my guns right down to 0, although I will admit with sniper rifles, I do it more often than I would with an assault rifle, but it's still a relatively rare occurrence. Now, why does this sound good on paper, but really isn't that amazing in game? Well, the base Widowmaker, when you put a suppressor on there, it has no impact on the damage potential or the multipliers or anything with the gun. It performs exactly the same with or without a suppressor as far as killing your enemies. So it talks it up like the suppressor is some super suppressor, but in reality it just gives you a free suppressor on this gun. Now, is that the worst thing in the world? Absolutely not. No, that's a great thing to have that extra suppressor. But I will say there are other variants of the Widowmaker that I feel are superior to the Widowmaker. They give you weapon perks that are going to help you a whole lot more than that extra attachment slot ever would. The two that I have in mind are going to be the Discipline, which gives you presence of mind, which allows you to hold your breath infinitely with the Widowmaker. That's an extremely valuable perk. And also the Utopian, which is my favorite Widowmaker variant. This one gives you the Focus weapon perk. And Focus is extremely valuable because you pretty much never need to hold your breath, even if you've got a very small target to shoot at. In my mind, these are much more valuable weapon perks than having a free suppressor. If I want a suppressor, I can still pop it on there. And really, it's not like I normally load up my sniper rifles with several different attachments. It's going to be basically like a suppressor and quick draw or something along those lines, and that's pretty much it. So again, maybe a little bit to do with personal preference. If you want that free suppressor, I'm not telling you that this is a terrible gun. I just feel that it's not the best variant, and I don't think it's the one that should have that epic title. So there we have it. That's going to wrap it up for my top 5 overrated epics in Infinite Warfare. I'd love to know in the comments section below, are there any other epic variants that you would add to this list? If you have any, let me know which ones they are and why you think they are undeserving of the epic title. Also, if you guys did miss my top 10 underrated, common, as well as rare variants in Infinite Warfare, I highly recommend checking that one out. If you like this one, you'll most likely like that one because that is going to save you a lot of salvage in my opinion. If you want to check that out, I will leave a link down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.